I was 15 when the government announced a national lockdown in my city and the quarantine just started. It came so quickly that nobody expected it. My parents were visiting my cousins at that time, so I was the only one home and there was no way for them to come back at least another day. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in a not so good part of town. It was around 9 o'clock in the evening. I was sitting in my bedroom trying to watch a movie when suddenly the electricity went out. I grabbed my phone and turned the flashlight on it. Then I walked to the window to see if it was just us or the whole area. The streetlights were out and not a single car drove by at that time. Everything was just so freaking dark. It also just started raining, so the visibility was even worse. I went back to bed and decided to message one of my best friends. I call him Jake for the story. We used to talk every single night without exception, but that night he hadn't texted me back, so I decided to give him a ring, but still no answer. As I was scrolling through Facebook, I noticed that he just made a new post a minute ago. The post said, "Showtime." I hit a like button on the post just so he gets a notification signaling him that I know he is around his phone. I texted his phone again saying, "How's it going?" Still no answer. I wasn't sure what was going on or why he ignored all my messages, or what was the weird Facebook post about. I didn't want to act like a weirdo, so I just started playing some games on my phone and told myself whatever. About an hour and a half later, I started having a conversation with one of my other classmates through text, and he started telling me how Jake sent him a picture of me without any context whatsoever. I went to the living room and called Jake's house phone number, and his grandma picked it up. I asked to speak with Jake, but apparently he hasn't come home that day and his grandma thought he was with me. I didn't want to expose my friend in case he needs me to cover for him for whatever reason, so I said, "Oh, wrong Jake," and apologized. After a few minutes, I sent a bunch of texts to Jake, but now it said read for every single one of them, but I never got a response. Eventually, around midnight, I finally got a reply. The response was a picture of my bedroom's window. It looked like it was taken just now, considering that it was raining and it was nighttime. It's weird considering that no one can be on the streets due to quarantine. I ran to my window and looked out right away. No one was outside, but I got another text saying, "Don't worry, you will see me soon." I freaked out like there is no tomorrow. Jake was always a jokester, so I really hoped it was one of his sick jokes. I guess I shouldn't have played games on my phone that night, because I just noticed that I'm at 1%. My dad took our laptop on their trip, so I couldn't even use that to charge my phone. I put my phone in airplane mode and closed all the other apps just so it can survive longer. At the same time, I was super tired and I accidentally fell asleep. However, around 2:30 a.m., something extremely terrifying happened. A loud noise woke me up and someone was banging on our main door like a maniac. It sounded like a 50-year-old man with a really creepy voice. His voice was so creepy I couldn't even get what he was screaming. I wanted to call the cops, but obviously by now my phone died long ago. The noises suddenly stopped, but just under a minute later I started hearing the same noises, but this time coming from our bathroom. Our bathroom had a window and I knew it wasn't that strong. The door can only be locked from the inside, so I wasn't even sure how I'm gonna defend myself. I got out of my bedroom and ran through the hallway straight to the kitchen to grab a sharp knife. The kitchen was too dark, but the light from our fridges and microwaves timer was just enough for me to navigate myself through. After grabbing the biggest knife that I could find, I turned around to go back to my bedroom, but I noticed something strange by the end of the hallway. My heart was racing at that point as my eyes started to adjust to the super dark. I started to barely see someone standing at the end of the hallway right next to my bedroom's door. It was the most nightmarish moment of my entire life, especially since I was still hearing the banging noises from the bedroom. At that point, I knew I'm dealing with more than one individual. I started screaming like a child, and just a few seconds later, the electricity came back. All the noises, all the banging has stopped, and I no longer was able to see the individual next to my bedroom. I was still scared to go back to my bedroom, so I stayed in the kitchen for about 45 minutes before I went back. I grabbed my phone and immediately put it on charge. The moment it turned on, I got a message from Jake within a second. He must have tried to reach me while my phone was dead. He asked me if he can come over. That was the last message I've ever gotten from Jake. A few days later, a police report was filed, and Jake was declared a missing person. This was a year and 7 months ago from today.